Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, comparing a final edition Ram TRX to an AEV Wrangler 392. Both of these vehicles are over $120,000, and so it's actually a pretty fair comparison when it comes to pricing. Anyways, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Carl Malone Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Heber, Utah, for giving me some time with both of these vehicles. Both of these are available for sale for the time being, so if you're interested, I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below as well. Let's get into it. Powering this Wrangler is a naturally aspirated 6.4-liter Hemi V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It puts out 470 horsepower and then 470 pound-feet of torque. You can expect to get about 16 miles per gallon with this. Powering the TRX is a supercharged 6.2-liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It puts out 702 horsepower and then 650 pound-feet of torque. You can expect to get about 12 miles per gallon with this. Now, before we move forward with this comparison, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So, starting with the Wrangler for over $120,000, you get the AEV kit. So, this has this cool upgraded bumper. You can see we've got a winch integrated. We've got these light pods here as well. You also get another little bar down below. It's for dust. Steering stabilizer upgrade. We also have a diff cover on top of that. So, lots of aftermarket stuff on top of the 392 part. Whereas with the TRX, this is a final edition, so this one's finished in Delmonico red, which I think actually looks really good on the TRX. You get a cool decal there on the hood. You can see the grille is darker in coloration. You got skid plate protection underneath, but it's crazy to see the size difference between these vehicles. Like, the TRX is so much wider. Now, the Wrangler has 37s wrapped around 17-inch wheels. You got these special wheels as part of the AEV package. The TRX has 35s wrapped around 18-inch wheels. You got like a patina finish on the TRX wheels. And then look at the TRX. So you've got kind of like a big fender flare, but huge fender, whereas this has like no fender. It's like non-existent in terms of like popping out, I should say. But then the fender flare is really large. It is painted. See, rock rail protection. You just have side steps here in the TRX. So you got this cool venting on the TRX, which is fun. The Wrangler has venting, but it's completely fake. But anyways, you can see the difference with the mirrors, which is interesting. And then look at the back, the length difference with the vehicles. Obviously, pickup truck versus SUV. Now, there's a big difference with the shocks. They both have Bilsteins, but this is more of like an overlanding setup, whereas the TRX has the Blackhawk shocks. These are for high-speed off-roading. Here's the side profile on the Rubicon 392. And then here's a side profile with the TRX. Now, I think it goes without saying the TRX is a truck, so you actually get a truck bed. That is a big thing of practicality. And then you can see the back end here, crazy. And then you've got that bumper that's basically the same bumper as we have on the Ram Rebel. It also has a little kick step there, making access a little bit better. Whereas the Wrangler, right, you've got the spare tire here on the back. You have extra gas storage there. You've got this bumper again from AEV. And then this just has a traditional trunk here, trunk area with it. So a little bit different setup. But let me know which aesthetic you like different. I know it's pickup truck versus SUV, but like I said, a lot of people reach out to me about this comparison, so there you go. Now, in the back of the TRX, I mean, this is like a lounge. I even have reclining seats, and the interior with this is very bougie. Lots of nice trim. I mean, really nice leather seats, very comfortable. And here's the original window sticker, by the way. There you go, $125,000 for the final edition. But anyways, headroom also spacious. The Wrangler, on the other hand, not nearly as spacious, right? It's an SUV that's smaller in size. You can see here with the seats, they're actually still really comfortable. They're just not as like luxury. This is more about easy to clean. Same thing with the door panel design there, so more utilitarian. Headroom, it's good because the boxy design. And then up front with the TRX, ooh, look at the door panel here. Again, with all of the nice trim. Got blind spot running with the mirrors. And then these front seats, really cool, perforated all down the center. And look at that TRX there on it. But yeah, very sporty steering wheel with the paddle shifters there on the back. You can see the Alcantara as well. I get like the carbon fiber trim, stuff like adaptive cruise control, full digital gauge cluster, very modern. And then we also have the heads-up display, 360 camera system, which is nice because again, it's a big truck. Now, my favorite part of the TRX is first off, advanced four-wheel drive system, but you got launch control, tons of drive modes, you got off-road cruise control. You also have a rear locking differential. You got that for auxiliary items. Wireless phone charging pad, and then you can see the center area here with all of this. This is special for the final edition right there. And look at that with the glove box. Camera rear view mirror, you got like a panoramic sunroof. The power window slides open. So I can open that. Or I did the sunroof by accident. Whoops. There's the window. That was, why won't it close now? Do I have to? So popping into the Wrangler, much less luxury, more utilitarian. I mean, look at the door panel. And again, look at these seats here. So not nearly as much space. I mean, look at the difference in size of the center console area. The TRX is like massive. This, it's a lot more closed in. And then the steering wheel, I think it's cool. Paddle shifters in the back, so both of them are pretty cool. Mostly analog gauge cluster. No 360 camera system, just a backup camera and a forward-facing camera. But you've got some stuff that TRX doesn't. So no launch control, but we do have still an advanced four-wheel drive system, but we also have a front locking differential as well as the rear that the TRX has. And then we have sway bar disconnect with this. And then you got this for the exhaust. The TRX is just always loud. And then obviously with the Wrangler, you can take off the top and all of that. And then the sticker there, it's backwards, but $120,000, so like $5,000 less than that TRX. Well, let's check by visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood, both the mirrors, dual blind spotting, through the rest of the rear, and 392 AEV away. So, quick disclaimer, I'm using this driving portion for the TRX versus Wrangler 392 and for the Bronco Raptor versus Wrangler 392. So if you've seen one or the other, just skip to the second portion, the driving portion, because the Bronco Raptor video is going to have unique driving stuff, and then the TRX video is going to have unique driving stuff. Disclaimers aside, I love how this thing drives. It's so fun. So first off, tons, and I mean tons, of torque from this engine. And we're at, I think, just over 5,000 feet here in Heber, Utah. But yeah, it doesn't struggle at all. You're not like, oh man, I need more power. It does just fine. Now this suspension, it's a little bit floatier compared to the stock 392, but it does really well around the corners, and it's just more comfortable. The Wrangler, you know, in general, it's kind of like a vehicle. You got to concede comfort and all of that for the fun looks and fun experience. But this is actually pretty dang comfortable. So much torque. Yeah, the torque on this is fantastic. I'm getting a little acceleration here in just a moment. But yeah, it just drives well. And like I said, these seats are comfy. They are very comfy. You gotta love naturally aspirated V8 power. It's just, it's so responsive, it sounds so good, and again, it does not struggle to move these 37s whatsoever. 37s are no problem for the Rubicon 392. It's got a 4.56 axle ratio. It's fine. So to cap things off with the little 392 drive, I think this looks really cool. I think that it drives fantastic, and with the, you know, some of the updates they've made on the 392, or just the Wrangler in general, I should say, with the new windshield, which even though I don't like the replacement cost that this probably has, and the top and the, you know, general insulation increase, it does make it more daily drivable. It's still a Wrangler, but it is a little bit more luxury, a little bit more bougie. Well, let us set off in the TRX and see if this has the chops to be as cool as the Wrangler, or if the Wrangler has the chops to be as cool as this, right? So again, I understand that a lot of people are going to say, Ben, this comparison makes no sense, it's apples and oranges, but I promise you, I get emailed all sorts of questions and you know, Instagram messages and all that kind of stuff. And the number one comparison that people ask me about, and I think it's because I owned a TRX and I also own a 392, but seriously, number one comparison I get is, Ben, which one's better, 392 Wrangler or Ram TRX? All the time. So hopefully this video will help those out. First off, my goodness, is this so much more comfortable than the Wrangler. The Wrangler, you gotta concede quite a bit when it comes to comfort. Again, it's a vehicle you can take half of it apart, so more wind noise, less insulation because of that, and it's just, and let me fix this a little bit. So yeah, it's just not as compliant with the ride too. This, it's because of the long wheelbase and because of the shocks and everything, it's pretty cloud-like, and it doesn't do the side-to-side floatiness that the Wrangler has. So it's just a more daily drivable vehicle from that perspective, but it is a lot bigger, right? It's a pickup truck. So you do feel the extra size, you do feel the extra weight, but with that you gain storage space and you gain comfort. And when it comes to powertrain, it sounds better, I think. The exhaust in the Wrangler sounds better than the exhaust in this, but the supercharger whine that you get with this, like, that's so fun. Like, that's just it's such a clean sound. And the sad thing is both of these powertrains are going the way of the dinosaur, which is sad. But yeah, really nice sound. And when it comes to, in terms of like the actual rate of acceleration, they actually feel pretty similar in the real world. It doesn't, you know, the TRX doesn't really feel faster than the Wrangler doesn't really feel faster than the TRX. So it's not like you're winning out with one over the other when it comes to acceleration. Oh, that's so fun. So which one do you choose, right? You want, you know, I think a lot of people, they're coming from the perspective of, okay, I've got, you know, 6 figures burning a hole in my pocket and I want a badass V8 powered Mopar car, right? Mopar or no car. So it depends on if it's a second car or not. If it's a second car, 100% the Jeep, 100%. If it's your only car, which I think a lot of people, that's what it's going to be, it depends on what you're doing. So if you're doing a lot of road trips and highway driving, I would go with the TRX, because the Wrangler gets really cumbersome over those trips. Like, you're gonna want it to be a second car if after doing that for a while, I promise you. So depends on what your garage setup is. And then in terms of long term, I think both of them are going to be, you know, considered really cool long term. But I think the Wrangler, because it's a Wrangler, right? Trucks are, you know, old school trucks. Like, look at those. They're still iconic, but like, look at how much more iconic an old, you know, Bronco is, right? When, you know, you think of like a cool classic car, you think of, I feel like people with classic cars, people think of the sporty stuff that is not as practical, like with the muscle cars that are 2-door cars, like that's more exciting. But you know, anything be classic at the end of the day. I just think the Wrangler is going to be, that 392 is going to be more of a classic compared to the Ram TRX. So let me know which route you would go. But yeah, I think that it just depends on what you're going to be using the vehicle for. Obviously the TRX, it's a truck, so you can do truck stuff with it. It's better at high-speed off-roading because it's basically a V8 Raptor is a way that you could look at it. But yeah, if you're just looking like long-term, you know, if I was going to keep the vehicle for 10, 20 years, I think ultimately the Wrangler is the one where, with the TRX, it's not a boring vehicle, but I think after a while, if you had it like sit in your garage and you drove it every so often, I think it's too comfortable for you to like really get a thrill. Not that's not thrilling for you to get a thrill out of it though. Whereas the Wrangler, it's like you could sit that in your garage, because I've had mine sit in the garage for, you know, over a month at a time, and then I drive it and it's always an experience. So let me know what you think.